Hello Aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name's Nicole and today I wanted to show you how to do a white curly dog. This was actually an older video that I did a while back, but I think it's worth editing and showing you how I go about establishing these different textures. So this dog was mostly white but had some sandy colors on his ears, and I used some burnt sienna and Van Dyke brown, and a lot of him was fairly light, and so I'm establishing some warm shadows in the fur and cool shadows. That's why I'm using grays and then the lighter cream colors. So this is my first layer, and I am just laying down some of these colors that I need to establish. So as you can see on his back, I have some more of those sandy colors, and then I'm going to go back and redo a second layer and adding more and more detail. I'm getting a layer onto that nose. Even his nose is a very sandy flesh color. Another layer on his eyes. I did his collar just very loosely without very much detail. I want all the detail to be on the dog himself. With a smaller brush, I'm getting more defined lines. I'm deepening the color around his eye. And there's my third layer of color onto the eye. Some dry brushing effects for the fur. Adds a lot of realism. And when I say dry brushing effects, I mean use a very dry brush, and so it picks up the toothiness of your paper. Going back, working on that nose, I'm adding in those dark areas, the shadows that needs to be added. And then I'm softening that shadow out so that I don't have any hard lines. So I'm really working on getting that nose as dark as it needs to be. And going back to the mouth area. Increasing the shadows around his mouth. And with that kinky sort of texture, this almost reminds me of like a Bichon Frise dog. It really kind of looks like that breed with that kinky kind of hair. So when you're drawing in those lines, you're going to make a lot of curvy lines to get that texture. Now I'm coming in with some shadows for his tongue. And then I just absolutely love the Quin Scarlet mixed with some of my other skin tones to make this fleshy color. I'm lifting for some parts on his tongue that are lighter. So see, he's really starting to come together now. Adding another layer of darkness on his mouth. And working on more of the texture, kinky texture for his ears. And there is a hard shadow underneath a lot of that fur that I'm trying to add in there. And so I was gonna bring his face forward a bit more, give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. And to get that texture of the fur and get a lot of wispy hairs, I'm using a script liner brush. Adding a lot of detail around an animal's mouth and eyes and the nose area is really what's going to bring some realism into your painting, and you can have kind of like the rest of it fade and be softer. But you really have to get the mouth, the nose, and the eyes correct for it to look really good. So that's why I'm spending a lot of time and doing many layers on these areas of the dog. And notice how much that just pops forward, adding in those darker tones. Putting in a lot more of the fur lines on his mouth. Now I'm increasing those shadows underneath that collar. And you see the way I'm sort of scribbling with the paintbrush to get that curly kind of texture. Putting in a couple of spots on his eyes for the glare. And my last final touches is using some opaque white around his mouth to get in some of those fine lines, especially over that collar. Any little really highlights that you see, and you want to add those in with your white. And that pretty much concludes the end of the painting. Is when you get to using the opaque white, these are your final touches. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week.